Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Logic Medico. Today's interesting topic is internal jugular vein. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing to this channel and don't forget to press the thumbs up button in the beginning of the video because in the end you may forget it. Thanks for that. Internal jugular vein. A vein is a blood vessel which carries the blood towards the heart. Internal jugular vein is the largest vein in the head and neck region which drains the blood, majority of the blood received from the brain towards the heart. It is inside the sternocleidomastoid on the deeper aspect, therefore the name internal. Jugular refers to neck. Vein means it's a blood vessel. So that is the meaning of internal jugular vein. To understand internal jugular vein in detail, it is better to understand external carotid artery and its branches in brief. So let's start with external carotid artery. External carotid artery is one of the branch of common carotid artery at the upper border of thyroid cartilage. Also there will be internal carotid artery which goes into the carotid canal and supplies the brain. This external carotid artery supplies the outside of the head and neck. It gives superior thyroid artery which supplies the thyroid gland from above, endocrine gland, thyroid gland. Lingual artery which supplies the tongue. Facial artery which supplies the face. Ascending pharyngeal artery which supplies the pharynx. This one going towards occipital region. Occipital artery. This one going just behind the auricle, posterior auricular artery. Ultimately, this external carotid artery within the parotid gland, it divides into two terminal branches. On the maxilla, it's called maxillary artery. In the temporal area, closer to the skin, it's called superficial temporal artery. So these are the branches of external carotid artery. When you saw so many branches of the external carotid artery, similar name vein will be there. For example, maxillary vein joins with superficial temporal vein to form a vein. It's called retromandibular vein. It will have a posterior division and anterior division. The posterior division of retromandibular vein joins with posterior auricular vein to form external jugular vein. Whereas remaining all the other branches here, facial vein, other lingual vein, superior thyroid, like this, all the other veins will end up in, what is the other vein? Today's interesting topic. It will end up in internal jugular vein. That is what you have to understand. That is nothing but tributaries. This is how you have to use your logic to understand the tributaries of internal jugular vein. So this internal jugular vein is the largest vein in the head and neck region. It is inside the sternocleidomastoid, therefore internal. It is present in the neck, therefore jugular. Vein is a blood vessel which carries the blood towards the heart. So where does it form? See, it forms as a continuation of sigmoid sinus. It's one of the dural venous sinus. It is S-shaped, so it's called sigmoid sinus. Through the jugular foramen, it will begin from there. So that is called the origin or the beginning of the internal jugular vein. I repeat, as a continuation of sigmoid sinus at the jugular foramen of the skull. This internal jugular vein descends vertically downwards within the carotid sheath related to the carotid arterial system. Between the carotid arterial system and the internal jugular vein, there will be vagus nerve. That is the simplest relation. Overlapping this will be sternocleidomastoid. It descends vertically downwards to go just behind the sternoclavicular joint. It will join with one vein beneath the clavicle. What is it? Beneath the clavicle, subclavian vein. So it joins with subclavian vein. Internal jugular vein drains the head and neck. Subclavian vein drains the arm. So brachio, head means cephalic. So it will form something called brachiocephalic vein. The right brachiocephalic vein joins with the left brachiocephalic vein to form the largest vein. Second largest vein actually. Inferior vena cava is the first largest. This is the second largest vein in the body. Superior vena cava. Sorry. But when they ask internal jugular vein, all that you have to tell is its formation is continuation of sigmoid sinus at the jugular foramen. It descends vertically downwards in the neck. At the sternoclavicular joint, it joins with subclavian vein to form brachiocephalic vein. That is the termination. At the sternoclavicular joint, it joins with subclavian vein to form the brachiocephalic vein. Here you can clearly see there are two bulbs, superior bulb and inferior bulb of internal jugular vein. Now coming to the tributaries of internal jugular vein. These are the tributaries of internal jugular vein. Starting from above, this first one is inferior petrosal sinus or inferior petrosal vein. That is the first tributary. Some people tell the inferior petrosal sinus joins with sigmoid sinus to form internal jugular vein. But most people tell that inferior petrosal sinus is the first tributary of internal jugular vein. Then this common facial vein. How does this common facial vein form? This is a facial artery. Next to this there will be facial vein. Here retromandibular vein will be there. The anterior division of retromandibular vein will join with facial vein. The anterior division of retro will join with facial vein to form common facial vein. Opposite to this, from behind, from the occipital region, occipital vein. From the tongue, lingual vein. From the pharynx, pharyngeal vein. From the thyroid gland, there will be three set of veins: superior thyroid, middle thyroid, inferior thyroid vein. Out of these three, the superior thyroid and middle thyroid vein directly ends in the corresponding internal jugular vein. The inferior thyroid vein of both sides ends in left brachiocephalic vein. Why? It is right beneath the thyroid gland. That's why this one. So that is where inferior thyroid veins end. But the superior thyroid and middle thyroid vein ends up in the internal jugular vein. At the junction between this internal jugular vein and the subclavian vein, we can see the ending of a duct called as lymphatic duct. On the right side, it's just called right lymphatic duct. Left side, it's called as thoracic duct. You can clearly see the lymphatic duct, the valve is opening towards the vein. When the blood from the vein wants to go towards the lymphatic duct, the valve will close. What I mean to say is, these valves are unidirectional. They allow the lymph to enter the vein, but not the blood from the vein to spill into the lymphatic duct. Okay, these are the tributaries. In summary, the beginning or the origin of the internal jugular vein is at the jugular foramen as a continuation of sigmoid sinus. The termination is opposite to sternoclavicular joint. The internal jugular vein combines with subclavian vein to form the brachiocephalic vein. It descends vertically downwards in the neck. Within the sheath called carotid sheath, medially there will be carotid arterial system. Between the carotid arterial system and the internal jugular vein, vertically downwards, there will be one nerve called as vagus nerve. It is deep to sternocleidomastoid mastoid, therefore the name internal. There are two bulbs, superior bulb and the inferior bulb of internal jugular vein. Tributary summary: inferior petrosal sinus, common facial vein, occipital vein, lingual vein, pharyngeal vein, superior thyroid vein, middle thyroid vein from the thyroid gland, lymphatic duct, that is on the right side, right lymphatic duct. On the left side, it's called thoracic duct. So these are the tributaries of internal jugular vein. Clinical importance of the internal jugular vein is the jugular venous pressure, JVP, can be measured at the patient reclining at 45-degree angle. We can make out the pulsation in the vein. That is, this pulsation in the internal jugular vein directly reflects the pressure within the right atrium. You can see why. Because there is a continuum. The column of blood, the pressure changes here, the volume of blood changes, directly reflects in the internal jugular vein. So instead of doing cardiac catheterization to know the pressure within the right atrium, we can just see clinically the JVP or the jugular venous pulse. It directly reflects the pressure within the right atrium. So at times of right heart failure or the right atrium and ventricular failure, that time the JVP is raised because the blood column will not be able to go into the failing heart. So the pressure will be elevated. That is a clinical importance. Consider subscribing to the channel and don't forget to press the thumbs up button. Thank you for learning from Logic Medico. Thank you once again.